Fox 2 Detroit is now streaming free on Fox Local. Download now on your preferred streaming device for live newscasts and more.
Charlie, how are you? You've been running around this morning?
I have been running around. I just got in here. Very sad situation I did.
Yeah.
There was a fatal accident on the east side of Detroit, Ross and I-94. Somehow there was a little collision, and then this car crossed the southbound lanes of Ross and went into a house.
I saw that.
And then there was hit a gas main break, but he was in critical condition for about 2 hours or so, but then he did pass away, the driver of that car. So police are still investigating. The DTE's out there. Doesn't look like any of the neighbors are going to be affected, other than this whole place is going to be
terrible.
You can't go over there. But a very sad situation that someone died.
I saw that. I didn't see the actual event happen, but I saw the car in the house on the way to work today.
Wow. A lot of congestion there, but it was just sad. Don't know what happened. We don't know the circumstances yet on that, but he passed away. So we don't like that. We don't like that.
I've got a lot to talk to you about today, including the story about. So we're still talking about the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer, and there's still legal wranglings going on with this case. What's going on?
Well, so there were 8, let me just make sure I got it right. I believe there were 8 defendants originally, 8 people that were charged. There were others, but 8 people were charged in Antrim County for plotting to kidnap Governor Whitmer. When I went up there, they had 5 people on at the preliminary exam. Actually, I was at that preliminary exam up in Antrim County, Traverse City is where they had it.
Because there were 2 groups charged in this,
There were 2 groups. So there's a federal group and a state group. This was the state group. So what's interesting, though, is that when we were at the preliminary exam, there were a lot of exhibits that were admitted. They had videotapes of these people planning the things. They had charts. They had graphs. And the way that they were given to the judge in open court, the people in the audience, the media, we couldn't see any of them. And we asked for copies of them, where they wouldn't give us the copies. And this is admitted in open court, in an open forum, admitted into evidence. So one of my friends, an independent journalist, sued the Attorney General, filed a lawsuit, a Freedom of Information, it's already sued, but it is a Freedom of Information request. And yesterday, an opinion from a Court of Claims judge said, we get to have the documents. So he won, which is very unusual. This is an independent guy. Eric Van Dusen is his name. He's working on a documentary about militia and those type of groups in Michigan. So he's following all of the various militias, but certainly the people that were alleged to have kidnapped Governor Whitmer.
Is it highly unusual to not be presented with those exhibits in open court, the media, the public?
Yeah, usually we can get certain exhibits. Now, sometimes they're redacted for whatever reason, addresses and privacies. Some people do have that. But we usually get something anyway. Or some of the exhibits that are filed, we'll get those. But in this case, they didn't give it to us. And these were all admitted exhibits.
What was the reason given at the time?
Freedom of Information didn't allow them to give them, and there's still a court proceeding going on, and there's ultimately a jury. And they did not want us, the media, to blast them all over that they may taint a jury. But it's not a good argument, though.
What are, you say, exhibits? What are some of the exhibits that we will see now?
Like videotapes of the militia allegedly doing their...
The videotape?
Yeah, videotapes. There's about 100 exhibits, actually.
Wow.
Pictures of the Boogaloo group, the Wolverine Watchmen, some of these... I call them militia.
And this is surveillance video that was gotten by the people that were in with them, right?
Yes.
And we have, wow.
And the way they exhibited them, now in preliminary exam, it's only a judge. So we in the audience, we couldn't see them. They turned the television around, so we were looking at the back of the television.
Oh, wow.
Which,
but how do you cover that? So preliminary exam, for everybody to understand, this is where you're just seeing if there's enough evidence to pursue
to have a trial.
To get to trial. What is the justification for showing that? Because all the potential jurors will see that.
Well, they may. That's right, they may. But a judge sees it in open court. And theoretically, if the television is turned the right way, everybody can see it. It's a court proceeding. We in the media, too, we like to have free and open and transparent court proceedings.
Right.
I mean, it's our tax dollars. And we have rules, though. Not everything comes out. Right. And we respect. I mean, in the recent trial, the Oxford shooter case, when some of the witnesses testified, some of the students, the minors, we didn't show their faces. We never show faces of jurors, ever. And certain testimony that is explicit. We will not show that, of course. Right. But exhibits in a trial of which these are 20-year felonies, so they're pretty big deals.
Charlie, half of our audience right now is watching this and hearing this and thinking to themselves about the theory, the conspiracy theory, if you want to call it, that this was a plot. There were federal informants embedded with this militia here, and then they hear
that are going to be revealed in these.
Will they be revealed?
We know who they are. They've testified in other hearings.
Yeah.
We know exactly who they are, and they were convicted. And they're actually now. I forget the names offhand right now, but they're well known. I mean, they're out there, and they were convicted. But we know a lot about that plot. To kidnap Governor Whitmer. And there was federal charges and state charges. These happen to be the state charges now we're talking about. Right. Similar crimes. But this was an opinion written by a judge. I actually think it'll have some ramifications for other cases, too, when the Attorney General, the prosecutor, or anybody for that matter tries to not disclose documents. I think the presumption is that now you let them go and let the public decide. And will it interfere with the jury trial? That's why you voir dire. You ask the jury, you talk to the jurors before when you pick the jury. Yeah. And you ask, have you heard anything about this? Have you seen anything? But the public has a right to know. It's an open court.
Right.
That's what we like.
Charlie, that is one of my favorite legal words.
Voir dire.
Voir dire.
That's a great legal word. That's why you got to do that.
You got to do it.
We'll take a quick break and come back. We're going to talk about Mayor Fouts.
Mayor Fouts. Let's do it.
Oh, he's not leaving. I'm not leaving.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're still in it. We good?
Voir dire.
When do you think that you will be able to follow up on this new revelation of evidence?
To get that evidence, I talked to the guy that has it. They're going to try to get him. What time is it? They're going to try to get it as soon as possible.
Oh, nice.
There's a trial coming up on that on August 21st to September 11th. So there's a trial in Antrim County on 3 defendants. 2 took a plea. So there's 3 remaining defendants. The Null brothers being one of them, twins, big guys, twins, and they're other brothers, not twins. Actually, I think they are twins. Anyway, the big guys. I don't say. Right. But anyway, so that trial's going on end of this month.
And the question was, when a judge says you guys can't see this, there's fear that something is being hidden from us. There's some wrongdoing. Somebody's being protected.
I think that was Ryan's.
Right. Yeah, the government's being protected by not showing.
Like, who are you trying to protect?
Yeah.
It just adds to letting people's theories, conspiracy theories, if you want, it gives fuel to the fire.
Some of the defense says,
when you hide things.
Some of the defense the FBI came in and entrapped these defendants, meaning they suggested the results and let's go and drive to this house, let's do a picture, let's do whatever. So that's the allegation. And if it's on video or evidence, then it might hurt the FBI or the police. And that's an argument. We don't know because we can't see it.
Right.
You know, we don't get everything.
Look, it does look suspicious when you're when a judge is trying to hide something. Nothing to see here.
Once you get to court, let it all hang out. I mean, the idea is we have discovery, is what we call it, and full disclosure. And again, unless like the Oxford shooting, do we need to see that video? Well, probably not. No. Okay, so there are limitations on free expressions and exercise.
Bottom line, in the climate we're in right now in 2023, if you hide anything, it will allow people, one way or the other, to believe whatever they believe instead of,
especially in a politically charged.
That's that's the climate I'm speaking of.
And video is so prevalent these days. Everybody's got a phone. There's a lot of video out there, so just show it.
Right.
Let's get to this one, though.
Warren Mayor
Fouts. What's happening?
So Mayor Fouts was not on the ballot this last Tuesday, but he wants to be on the ballot. He wants to run for mayor. But a couple of years ago, the people of Warren passed term limits. They said you can only serve 3 terms as mayor. Jim Fouts would have been running for his 5th term. Therefore, he's ineligible.
He already got in an extra
But it already
term.
happened, so he's done, right? He's done.
No, he's not done.
He's not done.
No. He filed a federal lawsuit saying that there's a essentially a constitutional right to be on the ballot. I'm generalizing a little bit. Specifically, the ordinance that they passed, 3 years. When does it start? That's the question. Does it start?
In, or,
is he grandfathered in? Does it start from the day it passed?
That already happened. How are they going to change it now?
He says the federal judge should, because he thinks it's a constitutional issue, to be on the ballot to run, and this ordinance would preclude him if it's interpreted the way the state courts interpret it.
So are they going to nullify and do it again?
They want to nullify this election, decertify this election that happened Tuesday, and have a new election.
Charlie, did the people of Warren vote on that? Charlie, did people of Warren vote on that thing, or was that just a city council?
People of Warren voted, 60-some-odd%.
Then there you go.
But when do you start it? When do you start it? It says you can only serve 3 terms as mayor, but the ordinance was just passed. So do you start? You just go back? Is that an issue? When do you start?
The man's not wrong.
Well, there's an issue there.
That's not wrong.
So
you have to answer that question.
So the issue is retroactivity is the fancy word, but the bottom line is when do you start? Now, my argument would be the state courts have already interpreted that. It doesn't leave anything it's not a federal question. There's nothing for a federal judge to do. However, there is that maybe ambiguity. If they wanted to say it applies retroactively, put it in the statute.
Many towns don't have term limits for mayors.
I can't think of any.
So it seems interesting that Warren was like,
here's a simple solution. I got a simple solution.
Give him his job back.
Let him be on the ballot. And let the people of Warren decide whether they want him to be the mayor or not.
So I talked to the winner yesterday. He won the primary, and I said, "Hey, what kind of success do you think Mayor Boutz will have with this lawsuit? Do you want him to succeed?" Well, maybe not.
Let it rip tonight, Charlie.
There's no let it rip tonight.
Oh, my football!
The football game is on.
No offense to you, Charlie. No offense. No offense.
I can't believe
No offense. No offense.
You or Root. Great job.
Charlie, real quick, are you watching The Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix?
No, I'm not. I've heard about it. I should probably do something, but I'm not.
All right.
No doctor watches Grey's Anatomy.
We'll talk about it next week.
The morning show, though, we watch that. That's a good show.
Not as many as those.
Watch Critically Speaking. If Critically Speaking says to watch it, I'm going to do that. So there we go.
I'll watch it.
Fox 2 Detroit is now streaming free on Fox Local. Download now on your preferred streaming device for live newscasts and more.